one of the things that you've been known for with your short time here at the South Shore store is how you invest in your team and how intentional you are in developing them and really finding the right position for them. How would you describe like the way that you lead your team and like what inspires you every day?
Well, I think my team inspires me, and not to sound corny, but I would not ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And so I think leading on the front line, picking up the phone, calling anyone, and just getting involved in as many customer interactions as possible. It's not only learn about the customers, but actually set an example of how things should be done or how you want things to be done versus in our industry, there's a lot of leaders who tell, or managers that tell people what to do, and they're not actually willing to go and do it themselves.
That's right. They're not willing to like intentionally invest in like showing them how to do it, how to lead them, how to guide them, things like that.
Yeah.
So you've been able to like kind of like map out a few areas for your team. And I think that also kind of is the way that you were raised within automotive. I mean, let's talk about the way you found automotive, how you developed through that. How did you first start? How did you know you wanted to stay within automotive? What did that look like?
Yeah, I kind of got sucked into automotive. I had a buddy who was who was selling cars and just loved what he did. He was very passionate. So went down for an interview, got an interview, and I was selling cars, but I was in Des Moines, Iowa, had no buck of business. I was pretty good online, and I started selling cars through LinkedIn. Young professional connections groups. I would message just about anyone I knew, and not really to sell them a car, but just let them know who I was and what I did. And if they ever needed help, I was the go-to guy, and I developed it like that. Gradually took over a couple of people's books of business by taking good care of them, and doing a lot of things that I wasn't asked to do, and just trying to figure it out. And I'm still trying to figure it out today as well.
How funny though, like, 10 years ago, LinkedIn was sort of a new thing for professionals.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's a little bit more prominent within social media.
Oh yeah.
One thing I noticed was a lot of your sales executives, they have LinkedIn profiles.
They've got LinkedIn profiles, they've got Facebook, they've got TikTok, they do a lot of stuff I don't know how to do, but they promote themselves within their own personal brand, and then plus their local communities as well, different areas they might live in as well.
Yeah. So recently you were honored by Automotive News 40 Under 40. Like, what did that look like? Did you know you were going to be a part of that? Like,
not really. I got nominated, I think earlier on this year. Had no idea I'd end up being a finalist, and was honored. But it's also, I think, I also want to make it very obvious that I'm not the finished product. I'm nowhere close. And I think some people, when they get an award, they give themselves a pat on the back. I'm great and everything. I'm like, I got so much to do. I got so much to achieve, so much to grow. And I think it's a good, also really a recognition for the Sarah Automotive Group as well. That's someone that they hire young people, they promote within, they give opportunities. And I'm really thankful for Matt and Joe Sarah, and then my owner here, Kurt Cordell, for giving me the opportunity. I came here at this store when I was 30 years old with a decent resume, but there were definitely better qualified people, more qualified people than me. But Kirk and Joe and Matt saw something in me and gave me a chance. So every day I'm kind of in debt to them, and I got to turn it on. I got to grow people. I got to produce results, and if we can have some fun on the way, awesome.
Yeah. What do you think has been one of the things that you've changed over the last few years culture-wise here for the store? Because I know it's a newer store. The store's been here, let's say, 5 or 6 years now. But to kind of take it from where it was 5 or 6 years ago to where it is today, how have you been able to like change that culture in a positive way, especially with, the owners and new team members that have come along? How have you made that positive impact?
I'm going to steal it right from my owner, Kirk. We play to win. You play defense in automotive, it doesn't work. You have to play to win. And what's happened with new car supply and how we've had to shift things over the last 3 or 4 years, how we've had to think outside the box, do things that make us kind of cringe at times, but we got to play to win. We're aggressive. We focus on 3 things. We want to grow our business, we need to improve the customer experience, and then we train and develop all the same times. And if we do those 3 things and play to win, we've always got a chance of doing well.
Yeah. And one thing you guys have done such an extremely good job at, especially, at the beginning of 2020, the middle part of that, is transitioning from being just new focused to bringing in the used side of it. You don't see that very often for like a Jaguar Land Rover store. So where did that idea come from?
Well, it came from just looking at our inventory and going, holy cow, we've got no new cars to sell over 6 months. When I got here in June of 2020, just when the world was either going to end or was it going to be okay, no one really knew. We had 100 new cars in stock. I mean, we actually didn't have space on the lot to put any more new cars.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, 9 months, we might have had 3 new cars on the ground. We sold through all of them. And we had to shift the focus. You know, we've got an amazing facility here.
Right.
We've got a $5 million building. I got 6, 7 hungry sales consultants. They've got families to feed. They've got mortgages to pay. We've got a decent staff. And we didn't let anyone go during COVID as well. And so what were we going to do to not only keep them busy, but we had to keep the store profitable as well. So we just switched to used cars right away. And we have, you know, the best facility in here, in the area to sell used cars.
Yeah, that's right. So in the next episode, we'll get into some strategy with Jack and Jim on the used car side of it, which it's been really cool to see how that shift has happened. Now, for your team, I mean, obviously you've got people that need to sell cars, people that need to make a living, to being able to transition to the used car side of it. How did you develop your team so that they were ready for that? Because they were probably used to doing new cars, whether they were on the lot or builds. So how have you developed your team to really dive into the used car side of it?
Yeah, it was interesting. You know, we had to change our demographic that we were selling to a little bit. So
Sure.
we wouldn't, you know, when we first opened, we wouldn't have sold a $5,000 car.
Yeah.
Now we need to be proud to sell a $5,000 car as much as we are to sell a $150,000 car.
That's right.
There is a big market for a $5,000 car. There's a big market under $10,000 cars. And we had to sell them. We needed the inventory. Plus, we get trades off every, or nearly every pre-owned car we sell, and just the good things that come with selling a car. And sometimes we would bring cars in knowing that we would lose money right away. And for a business strategy, how the hell does that make sense? It makes no sense. But what we knew was, can we bring in a retailable car, a car that we know we're going to retail, we know we're going to find a good home in the area, that will probably bring in a trade. They might finance the car, which brings a lot of benefits as well. And then let's put the right number in the trade and let's go ahead and sell that. And if we sell that trade, then we might just get another trade.
Yeah.
And so what we ended up doing was a very risky strategy. We actually brought in a lot of high dollar vehicles that we lost money on right at the get-go. But
Sure.
typically, the higher the price of the car, the more chance there is of a trade.
That's right.
And then you typically get a high dollar trade on that. And if you get a high dollar trade, you're going to get another trade in on that as well. Risky strategy, and somehow we made it pay off.
Yeah, but it's that whole trickle-down effect that you see on the used car side. When you sell a new car, there's a 75% chance you get a trade, and then you get a trade on that, and a trade on that, and 3 or 4 down the road, now all of a sudden you've sold another 3 cars that you would have never had the opportunity to if you weren't the used car focus side of it, which is amazing to look at.
Yep, and you just have to buy that first car.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, it sounds super corny, but it all starts with a car sale. You sell that first car, good things happen.
Everything happens when you sell a car.
Yep, everything happens with a car. And it gives the porters something to do as well. The porters needed clean cars, you know, the title clerks needed things to do. So we just had to keep everyone busy, really.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your team. How many people have you guys added over the last couple of years to be able to support the growth in overall units?
Yeah, great question. When I got here in June of 2020, we had 6 sales consultants. We've now got 7. We're looking on to bring an 8th. We had 1 finance manager. Now we've got 2.
Yeah.
We had 1 other manager apart from me. Now we've got 3 total managers, and we've built the infrastructure for more. I mean, whatever we've done in the last 2 or 3 years, we're not happy, but we've got the infrastructure set to do more and more. And with the new car supply increasing, it's now a job to capitalize on that.
Yeah, and even your service department has grown so much. Let's talk about your technicians for a second. You've grown that.
Yeah, great question. When I got here as well, we had 3 kind of good technicians and 1 apprentice. I think now we've got 8 to 9 technicians in the back. And we spent tens and thousands of dollars getting them trained up through the different levels with Jag and Land Rover. I mean, it takes a lot of time and investment. And it's allowed us to take better care of our customers as well, having better trained technicians.
Yeah. Well, it's cool when you find a store that's so willing to invest in their service technicians. You don't really see that a lot. And I know it might be easy for you because you're probably so used to them training every single day, every single week, every single month. But man, when you see a store do that, that stands out big time. I mean, you like you said, you've invested tens of thousands of dollars to each technician to help them grow to the next level. And maybe that's what has helped you grow from just 4 to 8 or 9 really great guys.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do for your culture is grow people organically. It gives people a path. And I think when we first got here, we were trying to buy a technician. We were trying to offer big bonuses to get people in, either local area or move here. And one, it was very hard to do because technicians are well paid. Big bonuses, but we didn't get any bites. And if we did, it was typically journeymen who have been other places that bounce around every 2 or 3 years. So really within the last 2 years, we mapped out what does a career path look like for a technician. If they're at level 1, how do we get them to level 2? If they're at level 2, how do we get them through? And how do we get the people through? And when other people are trained development, they're going down to Atlanta, they're going to New Jersey, they're going to California, the technicians take note as well. So it almost becomes a competition, and it's they get a good sense of pride that they're going through the different training systems. And the higher level they get, the more money they make, and it just seems to correlate pretty well.
Yeah, it works that way. Was that a hard sell to ownership, or did ownership say, yeah, this is easy, let's do this?
The Sarah Automotive Group and Kirk have always been good about investing in their own people, so not really. We just had to map it out with a plan. And, you know, it doesn't always pay off, but I think the technicians we've got now have learned so much, and by just getting 2 or 3 technicians on a career path, it has allowed us to recruit a few more kind of interns or apprentices to bring on, whether they start on part-time and then they come on full-time. It allows them to see, holy cow, this guy's 30 and he's done all this training.
That's right.
And he's a master technician. Like, well, I want to be like that in 8 years time or 5 years time, whatever.
Yeah, they can see like that future version of themselves when they have that path, and they say, oh man, this guy is 5 or 8 years ahead of me. This is where I could be in the future.
Yep, and we try and get those people who have gone through that to mentor the younger ones as well.
That's
so
true.
Whether they're in the service bay, whether they're helping them wrench or swap tires as well. But no, and our service manager, Sam, has done a great job with that as well.
Yeah, if there's other stores that are looking out there, that are willing to invest and try and figure out how to really roadmap that career path, what advice would you give them for ones that haven't done that yet?
Well, not sure about advice, but one thing I'll tell them, a Jag Land Rover store is always going to have a very busy service department.
Yeah.
Good and bad. You're always going to be busy, Jaguar. It's not always super quick jobs. They do break down when they get a little bit older, and you're always going to have work to do that. And so sometimes people look past that a little bit, but I just advise them, come take a look. You want to see a well-run service department, pop your head into South Shore.
Yeah. Two things too. One thing that you said was at one time you guys were just trying to buy the next technician, and that just attracted people that were hopping from place to place. But now you're able to attract ones that are really willing to invest in themselves, not just today, but next year, the year after that, so that they can grow for the next decade. And I mean, to have a team like that, where it's a solid team that can really turn wrenches all day and do the right thing, that's got to be meaningful for you and your team. Meaningful,
and it's good for the culture as well to know that people have been here 4 or 5 years, and they haven't just been here for 6 months and they're at the other job for 1 year. They see people that have been here for a long time and they grow within the store. And I think, some of our technicians, they take it upon themselves to mentor and lead the younger ones coming through, and they get a kick out of that as well.
Yeah, how great. Well, Jack, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.